Hello and welcome here to Charlotte, North Carolina, Dixon Field for some college rugby. Emma Claire Cantrell, call her EC, here with me. I'm Nick Kloss as we are already underway. It's the St. Bonaventure Bonnies taking on the Queens Royals, and it should be a really fun one. EC, both these teams, two programs that are at the top of the Division I ranks most of the time when you look at those top 25 rankings, but also last year near the top of the pile, Queens falling in that national championship game and the Bonnies in the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this game today because I think both of these teams are really out for revenge for what happened to them last season. St. Bonnies, they lost the game in the semifinals in the very last minute, and then Queens went on to the final. They also lost. So I think they're two really strong sides, and we should be really excited for this home opener today.
This Queens program has been in search of that D1 national title. Last year they went through American International College, then Wheeling University, to get to the final where they took on Brown. Not the first time they've seen the Brown Bears. Lost 23-20 in that championship match. A tough loss, still in pursuit now of that first Division I national title for the Royals. Barreling down camp, taking a nice pitch to open territory. Shire, the captain, gets the try, touches it down in the zone, and 5 points here early for the Royals.
That is just a fantastic start to any type of game that you're playing, but specifically this game, it's super important to set the tone. Both of these teams are extremely strong, and so just finding the gap right there. Support, captain was on the side, left side, puts it down over the white line. I just think that's a great start to the game.
Try for a conversion here. Add on a couple more, but a great start for the Royals. Hilton Oliver wearing the number 9. He's worn that past couple years for the Royals. Part of that team that made it all the way to the national championship last year with a 10-3 record. From an angle, does not get around, so misses left. It'll stay 5-0 in favor of the Royals, but a quick start here. 5 already on the board.
Yeah, and it was only in the first 2 minutes of the game, and like I said before, a quick start, making an impact is very important in a game like this. So I think St. Bonnie's needs to switch on right now, or things could get heavy for them.
Royals have played 2 games that have counted, but they've played 3 total. They've seen Tennessee, Kentucky, and Navy. Navy the most recent one on September 6th, because they had a match scheduled against Southern Virginia University on September 13th, but that was canceled. Here come the Bonnies. That one touches the ground. Royals.
I just want to comment real quickly on that restart right there. I said St. Bonnie's needed to make an impact starting now, and they did a beautiful execution of that kick. It went 10 meters, they hit it back, and they got possession of the ball. Even though they had a little bit of a fumble there, I think that's exactly the mindset that they need to have of retaining the possession of the ball, because that's the only way you score in this game.
Very true, setting up a scrum just over the midfield. Olivier will place it for the Queens Royals.
Looks like the referee's just going to reset the scrum right here, give them one more chance to get it right. If they don't, we could see a penalty coming in.
So we'll try it again. Last year, scrums where the Royals really excelled, had a lot of size on teams, especially in the middle. Those higher numbers. Olivier getting it out. Kicks upfield. Royals in pursuit. Bonnies now in their own territory. Just coming up on 5 minutes gone here in the first period. So EC, we already had that first try for the Royals, but early on in these rugby matches, is there a feeling out process? Are you trying to understand what the other team's trying to do, or is this just full-on attack mode? What is the headspace right now early on in a match like this?
I think it really depends on your team, but I think it's important to have the mindset of playing your own game and going in thinking that, because if you go in worried about the other team, you might fall victim to them beating you on whatever they planned. You know, you have to come in with your structure, your game plan, your defense, and set the tone. So it's super important what Queens did there to set the tone for the game.
Got the early point. Bonnie's moving upfield. Believe we have a line out. And we do. Bonnie's have it.
Yeah, that's going to come back as not straight. You want the ball to go directly down the middle of the channel so both teams can have a fair chance to compete for the ball. Even though St. Bonnie's had the advantage of running their set piece there, the hooker still has to throw the ball directly down the channel so Queens can compete for it. So it'll be a scrum to Queens.
So even though it has that look of almost a soccer throw-in, you're not throwing it directly into your own team.
No.
It's got to be that 50-50 ball.
Right, it has to go directly down the channel, giving both teams the chance to compete. And that's huge for Queens right there. They got the penalty. They're going to have a free play. They can kick to touch. They can take the quick tap. They can do lots of things here. So they're, once again, setting the tone for the St. Bonnie side.
Hilton Olivier, very good with his feet. As you see there, he will kick it down.
And I was speaking to Coach Tyree earlier this week, and he mentioned that the backs have a lot of new combinations, so we should be looking out for that. They have a lot of great utility players, seeing people in new positions, and they also have a really strong impact side. So the subs that are coming on later in the game for that back side should be pretty talented people. So they're going to have strong legs throughout the entire game.
Extremely important, especially with the heat we have here in Charlotte today. I mean, we are hot. We're not even on the turf.
Yeah.
That's got to be another 10 degrees hotter. You were down there talking to the teams before.
Yeah,
it is a scorcher.
It was just radiating from the ground. You know, you have the black turf down there, and it just attracts the heat, and you feel it coming up from the ground, and so I can't imagine what these boys are feeling right now. We thought it was going to be a little cooler late September, but not in Charlotte.
Not in the southeast, and the Bonnies have the dark brown or even black uniforms too on the turf. It is a hot one, so both these teams needing to stay hydrated. The legs definitely are going to come into play. Another scrum, this one placed by the Bonnies. They're 9 Wilson. Backs quiet on both sides right now.
Just a bit of turning there for the scrum. So once again, he's going to reset. The referee is going to reset that scrum, give the guys one more chance. It looked like it was turning from the St. Bonnie's side. Like I said before, that he'll give them one more chance if they can get it right, and then if not, it'll be a penalty.
Give it another try. Rugby, such a team game. More so, I feel, than many other sports.
Absolutely. I think St. Bonnie's has great team chemistry from what I've seen in their past seasons and this start of this season, and that is just one major factor in this sport.
Having an opening. Boshoff loses the ball after the hit. Queens picks it up. Has to get it out of the ruck. Missing there, goes through the hands of Matthew Berry. Tertius Dietrischen.
Yeah, it just got a little bit scrappy there for a second. Everyone seemed to fumble the ball. It's kind of messy, so it looks like it's going to be a scrum to Queens for the first knock-on that St. Bonnie's had. He gave them the advantage in the first place, but Queens responded with a knock-on, so it will result in Queens ball.
See another scrum. St. Bonaventure 2-0 on their year, taking down Marion and Belmont Abbey, both big wins. 40-11 against Belmont Abbey, 57-12 against Marion to start their season 2-0. Trying to get to the outside, getting through John Steele into the Queens logo. Kick to touch. Olivier sends it down for the Bonnies, and it goes out off of a Bonnie player.
That is the perfect example of a good box kick from their 9. He kicked it high. It's hard to catch. It's super sunny today. The St. Bonnie's player just couldn't get a handle on it. He tries to catch it. It goes out of bounds. That's going to be Queens ball within their own 22, or within St. Bonnie's own 22. So they could be looking to score here if they execute right.
It'll be interesting just to see how much the elements between the sun, the heat, really come into play. Do we get a high-scoring contest, or do we see it slow down as time goes on? Right now, the Royals had a try for 5 within the first 2 minutes, nearing the same area here. Here's the push on the maul. Coming straight out of that line out, Royals picking up some territory, gets brought down on that far side near the try line. Still many meters away. Bonnie's on the defensive. Moving it out. Caden Boyette trying to clear up space for the Royals. Coming in. Thomas Musey with a push into the zone and gets it down. Royals keep it going early. They got 10 now with that try.
And that's fabulous team chemistry, fabulous structure. Like we were talking about before, they had the box kick to set them up with the line out. And then the forwards just executed perfectly. You know, they had them all. They drove down the field, pick and go, pick and go. And I believe, I'm not sure who scored there, but I believe it was a back. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. But the forwards have been working really hard with their coach. His name is Coach Etienne, assistant coach. He's from South Africa and played for the URC in the UK. So he comes from a really strong rugby background, and I've seen him working really tirelessly with these forwards. So that's just a great try.
So 10 on the first, or 10 from the first 2 tries for the Queens Royals. I'll get some water and reset to restart. The conversion was good for 2 from Olivier, 12-0. Queens getting a very good start here today.
And you know, Queens came away from a big loss last weekend against Navy. St. Bonnie's, they came away from a win. So sometimes that can mess with your mental. They might come in a little bit cocky, a little bit strong-headed, and Queens is coming in to prove something.
It's 2 dominant wins, too, for the Bonnies. They have had not much of a challenge yet this season, whereas Queens saw a team in Navy handle them 50-14.
Right, and this might be their biggest challenge all season, and it's very early on in their season. So they've got to figure out what they need to do now, or it could start to slip away from them.
And sometimes can be a good thing to get smacked in the teeth early on in the year.
Right.
Keeps you honest. Here's scrum. Setting is Wilson. Scrum half for the Bonnies. The official will have a quick discussions with both sides. We've seen a couple whistles blown on these scrums, a few retries.
It can be tricky getting those front rows to work properly, you know. You're going against another team, so it has to work, but you're also competing. So you have to bind properly and you have to drive straight. You can't have too much turning in the scrum. So I'm imagining that's what this referee is talking about. And they seem to get it on the reset. He may start to get a little bit frustrated, so we could see penalties later on in the game. But I think both teams are going to fix the problem.
I think that's been one of the most interesting things over the past couple of years. We've started to call rugby together more and more. You're the player. I was the late addition to the sport, and I think the most interesting thing about it is the teamwork within your team is one thing, but also not everything. There are things where you're also almost working with the opposition in a way.
Yeah. to make the game flow.
Exactly.
You have
so
to, like with the lineouts and scrums and everything. Absolutely.
a game that has a lot of intricacies, and from the outside looking in, complications or complexities, but it's really one of the best games out there. Seeing these two teams and how it's grown at the college level, these two programs too.
Absolutely. Yeah, rugby is specifically in Charlotte is on a huge climb, and in America. You know, we just had the Women's World Cup. I believe New Zealand lost to Canada in the semifinals, which was huge. You know, everyone knows New Zealand's a great team. So rugby is definitely becoming more popular in America and across the globe.
Charlotte definitely investing in it at the youth level. We've seen it calling games here. They've had youth days where teams come out, and also just from you being in this area, playing in this area, you went overseas to play, but the connections you still have in this area and still currently working in rugby in Charlotte, those connections have stayed true for all these years.
Right, and that's what's so special about rugby is the community. Everywhere you go, you're going to know those people for the rest of your life, and they're going to be like family to you. So I think once people get involved in rugby, they're going to see how amazing it is and the opportunities you can get. I went overseas for 3 years, and I met some of the most amazing people, had some of the most amazing experiences, and just grew as a person. So I hope that happens to every rugby player across America, across the globe, and I think it will.
Here's a line out. Queens takes it. They're pushed back near their try zone. Olivier kicks it down to get some distance away from their line.
That is an extremely strong statement Queens made right there. St. Bonnie's had the ball. They kick it to touch. Forwards, like I said, they've been working super hard on their set piece. And they stole the ball, and we saw a big clear out in the ruck, a little bit of smack talk, if you want to call it, from the Queens player. But, hey, they won the contact, and now they have the ball. Or, I'm sorry, St. Bonnie's has the ball. They kicked it to touch. Excuse me. Still a dominant play.
Still clears some distance for the Royals.
Absolutely.
Have a little more space to work with defensively, but now we'll see the Bonnies try to kick it out to the outside, get their backs involved. Stuck in a ruck, John Steele trying to squirm out for Queens. Now we're getting to the outside. A good stop, Olivier, on the initial hit.
Oh, what a
big hit in the middle. That's Shire, or Shaver. Ball gets downfield. Bonnies will try and make up the real estate. Bonnies don't make much on the kick. Gets bumped a whistle as a collision in mid-air between the two.
Yeah, and you mentioned Roan Shaver with that big hit. He is an absolute animal on the field. He is one of the fastest forwards, and he's at the number 3 position today. So that is a scary prop to be in front of. So they're setting the tone on defense. St. Bonnie's is a little bit on their back. They seem to get the ball rolling a little bit, making good contact, and then they lose the ball. And like we see right now, Queens is coming away with it.
I feel like we have spent a lot of this time in this region, right around the middle third of the field. Queens has 2 tries. It's 12-0. But the Bonnies have been able to hold possession, move up. But like you said, they just get stalled and kind of just keep going in this circular motion in the same area.
Yeah, and that's because Queens' defense is doing their job. That's how you know you're executing well. And I was also speaking to Coach Tyree about, what went wrong in that Navy game. And he mentioned fitness. So I think they've been working really, really tirelessly on speed, agility, fitness. I know they've been working with 4G performance to get that up. So, St. Bonnie's is going to have a difficult time breaking that gain line. But like you mentioned, they are getting super close. So we'll see if they can break it to cross the white line.
And what, on the other end of that, what are the Royals doing well? You mentioned the fitness. They have to be able to go a full game against the Bonnies and everyone down the stretch. But are they doing anything with their backs against the wall near that tri-line, tri-zone, that is keeping the Bonnies at bay?
From what I'm seeing team chemistry and coming in with a game plan. It looks like they're very well put together. They're very strong-headed, and they're executing extremely well. Every line out, every scrum seems to be going their way, and that's how you win rugby games. It's not an individual game. You have to connect as a team and execute well. So I think they've been working really hard at that in training, and we're seeing it today.
And will those early points from the Royals be the main difference? If we see a 12-point difference and Queens comes out on top, perhaps it's just that early start, the slow, sleepy start maybe from the Bonnies that could be the difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, and you know, every point matters. St. Bonnie's, they lost in the semifinal in the last minute by 1 point. It was 11-10. So every single point matters in rugby. They've got to get points on the board if they want to compete with this team. So yeah.
So both teams, after getting a water break, getting some time in the shade, will come back to the turf.
And we're about to see another strong line out from Queens here. They kicked it to touch. I'm excited to see what they can do with this. They've been going for the long ball with the back player. Curious to see if they're going to continue to do that. Their maul was extremely strong. They made great ground, about 5 to 10 meters. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did that again, if it's working.
And the maul, if you're at home and new to rugby, confused with all the different scrum, ruck, maul, new words you may be hearing, a maul is when player has the ball and is moved by his teammates. Ball's not on the ground during a maul. It is in possession. There's a whistle. We'll bring that back.
Yeah, so here's a really smart play from St. Bonnie's. What's tricky with the maul is the other team has to engage. So this team, they noticed that Queens had a strong maul, so they actually kept their distance, stayed on the line in their channel, and did not engage. You are not allowed to grab that player and pull them in. They have to engage with you. But a lot of people don't know that, and it can be kind of tricky. So St. Bonnie's actually is going to get the ball on this scrum.
So a very heads-up smart play from the Bonnies. 20 minutes in, a 12-0 lead for the Royals. Bonnies with it out of the scrum and making up some ground. They're at midfield. We've seen good movement, gets fumbled, stays with St. Bonaventure's, but pushed back quite a bit by the Royals.
Yeah, and St. Bonnie's is a great side. We just saw it in their back line. That was a fantastic set piece. A little chip and chase caught by the St. Bonnie's player, but Queen's defense is doing extremely well to shut anything down that they get going.
Ball's on the far side. Bonnie's looking for an answer. Their high-powered offense over the first two games of the year's 40-plus points in both of those first two outings. Queens a 10-3 team last year, a national runner-up to Brown in Division I college rugby. These two teams in some of the rankings and out of some others. College rugby having multiple different top 25s.
Looks like it's going to be a scrum here to St. Bonnie's. Referee called it a knock on from the Queens player. I think he got his hand in there either during the pass or during the tackle. But St. Bonnie's had a big opportunity there. They had numbers wide. Shooting up on defense was the Queens wing. That's absolutely fantastic defense. That's exactly what you want to do. Other option is to play soft. But he shut it down, even though they did concede a penalty.
Scrum placed by Wilson and a whistle blown. We might see that one more time. And it looks like the official's going to just talk quickly with C.J. Thompson, Keenan Camp. They're the 1 and the 2. They're in the middle with Roan Shaver as well.
And this is where that fitness really starts to take its place in the rugby game. Playing at front row is an extremely hard position, and you got to stay fit the whole game. They've already had multiple scrums, so mistakes can come from lack of fitness or fatigue, if you want to say.
These athletes are next level, and if you want to be some of the best in college rugby, those guys are top tier, and these two programs have national championships on their minds every single year.
So John Steele, I believe it was, the number 12 on Queens, going up for that high ball. Those balls are really hard to catch. He did a great job, but he was hit in the air by the St. Bonnie's too. You can't do that. Feet have to be on the ground. It's going to be a penalty, and sometimes we see yellow cards from that because they can be pretty nasty hits. Referee just let him off with the penalty.
Goes out. Royals will move into positive territory, and Olivier takes the ball to go from the spot on the line out.
And you know, previously I would say Queens would be mauling here, but I think they're a little thrown off by the fact that St. Bonnie's did not engage. They're still going for that back ball, but we might not see any more mauls for the rest of the game unless they can figure out a way to engage St. Bonnie's.
They miss it there. Goes right off the hands of the number 8, Emil van Dijk. Play stopped quickly after. Looks like a scrum for the Bonnies.
Yeah, sometimes when you're competing in air for those balls, it can get a little bit messy. Looks like the Queens player just tipped it the wrong way. Knock on from him, so it's going to be St. Bonnie's ball. Excited to see what St. Bonnie's has to do here. They had some great backs plays, and if they can execute, this could be lethal.
Going to the outside, they'll kick to touch, or at least get some distance. It goes through the hands of Jack Rice, collects, stumbles before lowering the shoulder. Now coming out of a ruck, but a whistle from our official.
Yeah, just coming in with a high tackle. That's hard on those, shorter players. Jack Rice, he's a great player, very, very fast, very agile, a utility back. But you saw he lowered his head there because he knows his size is a bit smaller than some of those boys that he's running at. So you got to get really low if you're that defender, and he just didn't.
So in that case, the advantage almost goes to the smaller player.
Right. There's a position for everyone in rugby. You've seen guys that are 5'3" and then 6'8". You just got to find where you go.
Bonnie's coming out of the ruck. Back into the final third. They've gotten up towards that try line twice, but each time Queens has sent them packing the other way. Can this be where they unlock their backs? But Queens takes it. Now coming out of the ruck, Shavers on it for the Royals.
And I know we mentioned Queens' fitness was something Coach Tyree said they were trying to improve on. Right now, St. Bonnie's looks a little bit slow to get up on some of those rucks. They're not folding around the corner as fast as they need to, and I think that's why they're not really making any gain line here, and Queens is beating them on defense.
Something we already kind of talked about is there's a call. Teams will split.
Yeah. As soon as I compliment Queens' defense, they get a penalty.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Looks like St. Bonnie's here is trying to get some points on the board. They're going to go for the kick. If they get it, it'll be 3 points. So making that difference a little bit tighter, just trying to get the ball rolling, I think.
See if they can get something on the board, lower this Queens lead.
Yeah. It's really hard for them right now to break the positive gain line. Seems like every time a forward runs in, they're getting met right at the game line, even past it, and they're not really breaking the barrier, finding the gaps like they need to be.
So the Bonnies will set up the kick. Up for 3 points. And it is good. So the Bonnies get on the board and make it 12-3 with an 8-point game.
And I think that's a smart decision to take the kick there. They haven't really been able to get in that 22 that they need to be. They've been there a few times, but not really enough to kiss that try line. So just getting the points on the board is smart, starting the momentum for them, especially before the half.
You just mentioned the Bonnies possibly being slow, but 2-0, have not lost this year. Queens has.
Yeah.
A big difference could be that the Royals have seen another top contending program, whereas this is the first really top-tier rugby program that the Bonnies are seeing flying through the air. Was Jack Rice, just avoids the contact.
Everything about what Jack Rice did right there was just perfect rugby. He had an unlucky bounce. He went up for the ball so he couldn't be tackled. And then his groundwork on the floor was fantastic to eliminate that poach. Was just great.
Taikenza, the one for the Bonnies, brought the ball up, but we have a player down. That's CJ Thompson, who is on the turf. Two trainers out checking in on him. Both teams will get some water and sit tight, waiting to make sure he is okay. Didn't quite see a collision with him.
Yeah, seems to be real slow moving, but he's up now, slowly.
Obviously, rugby, a very physical contact game, but also these players are some of the toughest people I think you'll ever meet.
Absolutely. We also seem to have the number 10 down, Tomas Musi. That would be a key player to lose here, so hopefully he can shake it off.
So Thompson is getting helped off the field. Musi is walking up on his own power now, so he seems to be okay. They will not lose him. We'll see who subs out or subs in for Thompson.
And I mentioned at the start of the game that Queens has a really strong impact player list, so I wouldn't be too concerned. Obviously, we're concerned that a player's coming off the pitch, and we hate to see that. But Queens has great players, and this hooker should do just fine.
So switching the prop, a scrum now for the Bonnies. Let you know who subbed in. Can't see the reserve number right in the center of that scrum right now. So the reserve coming in is Josh Schwartz, replacing CJ Thompson. Bonnies making good movement. They got on the board with 3 points on the kick. So now they'll kick to touch and move a little bit closer to that try line.
This could be a dangerous play for them. Obviously, you want to go in with confidence, but Queens has had a very strong line out. We haven't seen much of their defensive line out, but it is pretty smart also to have a line out on the about, I think, 10 meter. Maybe they'll maul. We'll see what they do here.
See if they give Queens a taste of their own medicine. They do.
And Queens engaged.
Royals engage. Missed pass goes off the official, blows the whistle. Players weren't happy.
Yeah, that could be a little frustrating there, but hey, everyone makes mistakes. They almost had the Bonnies into touch. That would have been massive. Just missed it. They got the ball out in time. Smart decision by the Bonnies.
Queens has been the stronger team physically, at least early on. Even saw on the maul attempt from the Bonnies. Queens getting a good push on it, a whistle after that scrum.
Yeah, things seem to be slowing down a little bit here for both sides, or I would say Queens, actually. St. Bonnie's is picking up just a little bit, trying to get across the white line. But Queens did do a good job of responding to that maul and stopping it here.
Another try on the scrum. Move to the outside. Nice quick pass brought down. Royals defend it. Ruck close to the try line. Trying to go to the outside for the Bonnies. This is where they've gotten stuck before against the Royals. Trying to break through for their first try. 30 minutes into this one. Slowly but surely pushing on. Head down, now near the uprights. Wilson trying to grab it out, flicks it to the outside. Now utilizing those backs, going, touching, Bonnies score. A try, put 5 on the board. It's 12-8.
That was fantastic effort by St. Bonnie's there. They slowed down the game. They had a good set piece there. We saw a great tackle from Gideon Wessels, who's coming off of injury last season, that kind of pushed St. Bonnie's back, and I think they readjusted really well, had the forwards just pick and going, one after the other. The Bonnies saw the space to the right of the field, and they were just outnumbered, and if you can't go around the player, you go through him, and that's what St. Bonnie's did to cross the white line.
So Harold gets the try for the Bonnies to kick the conversion. Number 11 for St. Bonaventure. Edwards to take it and add on 2 more, potentially. From a nice angle, gets it through, and it is 12-10, just like that.
Yeah. And like we mentioned, those 3 points, they matter. If they get another 3 points later in the game from a penalty, they'll be ahead by 1 point. So I think they're playing smart rugby here. They're taking their time. They didn't panic. They came back to their structure, and they executed well. And that's what you got to do when you start to fall behind.
Oh, now the Royals had a 12-0 lead. It is down to just 2.
And Coach Tyree mentioned not Coach Tyree, Zach Wilson, one of the backs from the Queens Royals, had mentioned that they started really strong in the first half of Navy and then just kind of dropped off in the second half. So I think they got to avoid that at all costs if they want to stay in the game.
Stripped out by the Royals. Olivier gets picked up quickly. Looked like he was going to try and kick it upfield. He's brought down. Now a ruck for the Royals. Up through the middle, Jack Rice finds some open space, brought down. Now utilizing the backs, Van Dyke. Big pass to the outside, immediately met on the hit. Gideon Wessels loses it. On the other side of the hill, a little shake it up was Edwards.
Yeah, I think Queens got a little bit panicked there. They didn't play their structure. They were under a lot of defensive pressure. As you saw, the 10 didn't have a lot of options when he got that ball in hand. A lot of players standing around, not in the right structure, and you got to react better if you want to come away with anything from something like that, strong defensive pressure.
So after this match started with 2 tries from the Royals, 12-0 in the latter half of the first frame, the Bonnies have started to take control.
Yeah, and you can see the momentum too coming from their sideline, and they had a bit of a party bus, if you want to call it, with supporters that came out. So
I think that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, they've got a strong team support around them, which can mean the world to a rugby team if you start getting that momentum back.
Rugby, a sport that, at least from me, an outsider, such a family feel, the close-knit community, the close-knit teams, the relationships these players have together.
Because you really do have to be 100% invested to this sport if you're involved to fully understand and to fully execute, because there are a ton of rules, ton of complications, and it takes time to learn them. But once you start to, you find that passion, and that's when you find that family.
Definitely a sport you can pick up, fun to watch.
Yeah.
Easy to learn the basic rules. Like you said, once you get to the point of playing, there are some intricacies that just take time to learn. And for me, in my time as a spectator, I learn, I think, something from you every time we watch a match.
Yeah, because you think you know everything, and then you hear something else. I'm sure there's still a few rules that I don't know about.
And I know far from everything. So,
but like you said, going back to basics is fun too, and it's super easy for kids to get involved, and it's a great way to meet people and get involved in your community. So it is simple as well as intricate.
A game that can be appreciated for the simplicities of it, but also the complexities at the higher levels.
Right.
Queens with it. They're trying to answer. Great passing. Gets some space to the outside. Jack Rice tries to move it before going down. Whistle blows.
Just unlucky there. Maybe should have passed the ball to his open player, but that can be difficult in a reactive environment like this game. But they did a good job of getting those hands wide. You saw how quickly the Queens player in the center of the field had to transfer that ball, because that defensive pressure is really extreme from St. Bonnie's.
So another Bonnie's scrum, with Wilson placing it for St. Bonaventures. After Queens, their next match, September 27th, next Saturday against Kutztown. Be another big challenge for the Bonnies. But they'll get to take that match at home. Hit in the air, Rice goes down. A lot of noise coming from the St. Bonaventure bench.
Looks like it's going to be a St. Bonnie's penalty. That's really huge there. And that's kind of what you want to do if you don't get the ball, is to come away with a penalty. And it looks like they're going for those 3 points like we mentioned before. Pretty confident in their kicker, because that's a tough angle and it's pretty big distance. But I think whoever gets the points before the half is going to go away feeling a little bit more confident than the other.
So it's Edwards going for 3. He already hit the 3 and the conversion for St. Bonaventures. He'll take this one from an angle. Some kickers like the angle better than direct.
I personally do. My senior game, I missed 2 from the dead middle and nailed it from about where he is. So it's pretty embarrassing missing.
So straight on, not always the best.
Right.
He will take it from the angle. It worked the first time on the conversion, and it does there. 3 points for the Bonnies.
And sometimes that can be because you practice the angles more. You think they're a little bit more difficult. So that's a fantastic kick. It takes a lot of time to learn skill like that. And like I mentioned before, whoever came away with the points is going to feel a little bit more confident going into the second half. Very close game, and St. Bonnie's has now taken the lead going into the half.
Yeah, taking a break here now at the half. Both teams will get off this hot turf field, get to some AC and cool down. But it's the Bonnies after a 12-0 start for Queens. Really early on, first 10 minutes leading. It's 13-12. They've came back. They lead it by 1. We'll step aside for a bit for halftime, but we got plenty more rugby when we come back. Stick with us. Welcome back here to Charlotte, North Carolina. Dixon Field, the Queens Royals taking on the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. E.C. Cantrell, Nick Kloss here with you. 40 minutes gone, 13-12. The Royals scored the first 2 tries. It got a conversion to make it 12-0. Well, then the Bonnies with 2 kicks for 3 points and a try and a conversion, getting it to 13-12 and a 1-point lead.
Yeah, Queens at the start of this half already has set themselves up for success. They had a long ball, good defensive pressure, getting St. Bonnie's into touch, so now it's their line out. And they seem to collect the ball even though it was a messy fall.
Messy fall, couldn't go for the maul if they even would have wanted to this time. Quick kick popped up into the Bonnies' hands. It's now there to the outside, and they'll send it upfield. But it went out, so doesn't get much real estate.
Yeah.
Stays in pretty much the same spot.
Yeah, I don't know if I love the play decision to kick the ball right there in the center of the field as a forward. They got lucky because the St. Bonnie's player kicked the ball straight into touch across the 22, meaning that the Queens Royals will have the ball. Just got to play it safe maybe when it's that early in the half in your own 22.
Dietrich goes down. Livier now out to the left side. Royals going left to right. Bonnie's right to left here in the second. Camp. Now with the sub, Josh Schwartz, who came in for an injured C.J. Thompson. Went down and was helped off in the first. Musi. Oh, in the shorter, Shaver, captain of this Royal squad.
Oh.
Nearly missed there by Camp, but he gets rocked.
That's a great recovery. Oh, and Queens gets the penalty.
So a big hit, but the Royals benefit.
Yeah. Looks like that St. Bonnie's player wasn't rolling away. He got stuck in the ruck. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. Players can trap each other in there, and a penalty will happen, and now you see Queens going for those points to get themselves a little bit ahead.
So we saw it off a penalty. The Bonnies have done it twice. They've gone for 3, took the points, and it paid off for them. They took a lead into the half. Now we'll see Olivier for the first time, and Queens do it today. Very good kicker himself. He'll go from straight down the middle. This is around where the first one was for the Bonnies. But this will be for the Royals to take a lead. Right up the middle and up the gut. It's good. So 15-13, Queens back in front.
That's a strong statement they've made at both starts of the half. In the first half, they went away with 5 points on the board. Now they come away in the second half with 3, putting themselves back ahead. They've had strong starts to both halves. We'll see if they can hang on for the rest of the match.
That was the recipe in the first. It was get off to a quick, hot start. But after that, the Bonnies started to find a rhythm really in the last 15 minutes of that first half and climbed right back in it to take that lead. Royals now starting quickly once again. Will the Bonnies peak at the right time, this time towards the end of the game? Nearly bobbled. Great pass to avoid the hit. Bonnies just over midfield before being brought down. Taula passing. A little limp for a second there, but he seems to be okay. Gets the ball right back now to the outside. Nelson.
The referee doesn't seem to be calling many poaches and jackals. We haven't seen one yet today. We saw an attempt right there on the edge, which looked clean to me, but it might be a little bit stricter than most.
And for anyone who doesn't know what a poach or a jackal is, what might that be?
So the attacking player can go down The defensive player has to show their hands in the ruck. They can go for that ball as long as there's not a defender right there in front of them. They can clear the player out. But yeah, you have to show clear hands and try and go for that ball and pull it up, resulting in the poach.
So now Queens with the ball deep in their own territory. Olivier will send it down. Kick to touch moves things along just a bit to set up a line out. Definitely cooler from first to second half right now. There's actually some cloud coverage.
Yeah.
Which we are not complaining either.
No.
For context, we are not under a tent or anything.
Yeah.
We're out in the elements as well.
Sun.
So we feel good. They got to feel better down there on the turf.
Oof.
Pulled down. Looks like Gideon Wessels as it's flicked back. Boyette right at midfield. Great passing. Dietrichen
Wow.
over. Olivier.
Can he do
Open
it?
space. Can he get the try? And the Royals go end to end with Hilton Olivier getting the try. And it's another hot start for Queens.
And that's just a classic rugby try right there. You know, you saw on the edge, it was a 4v2. There's 4 attackers, there's 2 defenders, simple hands, and then we have an inside player that's open. And to give credit to St. Bonnie's, that was a good chase down, and he almost held him up. But the number 9, he placed it down. Hilton Oliver, who's also taking the kick, did a fantastic job finishing on that try.
So he will go for the conversion. He's completed 1 conversion, did miss the first one of the match. Also had a kick for 3 a little bit ago. This would be to make it 22-13. Sends it from the line that he scored the try on, up and good. 22-13, Queens up 9.
Yeah, and like I was saying, that's just simple basics from Queens there. They had forwards working really hard when they got the ball in hand to have that strong leg drive. We saw a few players, including Caden Boyette, who just drove down the field when they got into contact, setting up those players on the edge. Just simple hands that helps them end up in the try zone. So just a team try right there, and it's really pretty to see.
I believe it was the first 10 minutes of the first half where Queens got 2 tries. We are not through the first 10 minutes of the second half, and Queens has 3 points and a try in conversion. So 10 points on the board for Queens in the second half. Starting things out in these frames well. That's bobbled, but plenty of space. No white jerseys nearby as that's sent back the other way. Gets a good roll and out.
Right there is what we call a 50-22 in rugby. He's behind the 50-yard line, and he kicks it out in the opposing 22, or past the 22, excuse me. So they will actually get the ball on about, it looks like, the 10. So it's a really difficult skill to achieve, but a great play. Because any other type of kick across this the right side 22 that you kick straight out would actually go back to the other team. But because he's behind the 50, kicks it out past this 22 on the left side, it's their ball.
Bonnie's trying to answer the early scores. Queens there on the back. It was picked up by Rice, but a quick whistle, and actually Desayada had it, but still goes back for a scrum.
Yeah, it looks like St. Bonnie's just had a little fumble there, a little knock on, so it's going to be Queens ball deep in their own 22. But good for them to recover because that could have been a try.
Olivier placing it, but a whistle quickly coming, so resetting again.
That's a strong push from the Bonnies there. The referee's going to reset it, but you saw that Queens flanker just sliding back, couldn't find his feet in the dirt or in the turf. So they're coming in with some extra strength in the second half.
We'll try the scrum again for the Royals, inside their own 22. Olivier immediately pointing out a violation from the Bonnies.
Yeah, I think there we had a bit of confusion from the St. Bonnie's player that thought the ball was out, so he detached himself from the scrum and then reattached himself, which is not allowed. You have to stay attached to all players until the ball completely comes out of the scrum. So Oliver did a really good job of keeping the ball in because he noticed that. So smart play by him.
Was very quick to point once he saw an unattached player. So now they've gotten outside their own 22, getting closer to that 50-yard line as we are past 50 minutes of play here in Charlotte. Bonnie's 2-0, would like to stay undefeated. Royals lost to Navy in Annapolis, their first loss of the season. They're 1-1. Trying to get things right after what was an underwhelming performance and one that they weren't too proud of either.
Yeah. Just to point out here, I think this is a fantastic call by the referee. St. Bonnie's player comes in for the poach that we were describing earlier, trying to get that ball turned over, and he actually fell off of his feet, not holding up his body weight. So when you go for those poaches, when you go for those jackals, you have to stay on your feet, show those hands, and then go for the ball. And he just fell forward, resulting in a Queens penalty and now a line out.
Kick leads to a line out. Josh Schwartz with the ball on that far sideline for the Royals. He subbed in for C.J. Thompson, who left the first half with an injury. Great job by the Royals to knock that back, gets it to open space. Musi moves it to the outside, now to the backs, gets bobbled. Lowering the shoulder as Desiada's brought down, but a whistle.
Yeah, referee calls it a knock-on. It looked like it went a little bit backwards, but I think he saw a different angle and saw it go forward. So it's going to be St. Bonnie's ball. Like to mention that Zach Colson has now come onto the field, the number 23. He's a fantastic player. He's actually coming off of concussion protocol from either last week or the week before, so he should be someone to look out for.
23, he's outside the scrum right now. One of the 6 players wandering free on the left side of your screen for Queens. It's a scrum for St. Bonnie's with Wilson placing. Too much sideways movement turning on that one. Official blows the play dead.
And you know, there's a way to have a slight turn in the scrum. You have to engage straight and drive forward. You can have certain edges moving a little bit after that first engagement, and that's kind of how you can manipulate the way the ball comes out and kind of block those flankers on both edges. But it's just about the initial engagement that has to be very direct and very straight.
Here come the Bonnies. Taula goes to the outside, on the ground, bobbled, brought down. Wrap up there, coming from 23, Zach Colson, we just mentioned.
Yeah, that's really good pressure by the Queens backline defense there. Center is probably one of the most difficult positions to defend at. You have a lot to look at in front of you. A lot of plays can be run. So you saw both the centers there just flying up on, giving them a lot of pressure, and it caused them to fumble it. And now it's going to be Queens ball where they need to score.
Royals with 10 points in this second half, a try conversion, 5 points and 2 points respectively, and then kicking off a penalty for 3.
Here we have Everett Boyd coming in on the wing. He's a super fast player here, very agile, coming off for the number 14, so looks like they've implemented some of those impact players in the back line. So this could be a lot of fresh legs for the Queens team.
Dipping into those reserves. You mentioned it earlier, their head coach feeling like the fitness was what was the difference when we get a whistle there.
Yeah, here we go here. Like I mentioned before, every single scrum we've had a reset. And I think the referee now is getting a little bit tired of it. So this is actually going to be a free kick for St. Bonnie's. If they kick it to touch, it would be Queens ball. So you kind of have to keep it in the field. Or you can kick it long down the field, which is what he's going to do, and try to recover the ball.
Off the chest of Wessels, picked up. Landon Starnes gets brought down, but Queens with possession of the ball now coming out of the ruck. Camp. Now a call going against Queens. Bonnie's with the ball.
Yeah, it looks like Bonnie's is trying to get their momentum back, and it's working. They're going to go for points here, get a little bit more on the board if they can, which is similar to what what they did in the first half, where Queens started strong just like they did in the second half.
And that's what they did initially in the first half, to just get some points on the board and get things going. They'll do it again here. Edwards has been very good kicking the ball today. He will attempt his third three-point kick of today's match. Goes up, fading towards the right, and no good. So this time it doesn't pay off for the Bonnies. Don't get the points, and still a 9-point lead for the Royals.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be a drop 22 here. So this is kind of how they reset if you miss on those extra point kicks. They have to drop. They can drop kick the ball anywhere behind that 22 line. They get a good chase from the back line. They can recover the ball. It looks like St. Bonnie's is going to take it.
Bonnie's with a good reception there. Harold brought down. Ruck nearly blown up. Getting to the outside, open space. Takai Dilsa moves it once, brought down, and now inside the 22 for the Bonnies, still moving. Good tackle by Boyette, stops some momentum. Whistle from the official will slow things down for a moment.
Looks like he's going to take time off to have a conversation with the Queens players, so he clearly is not happy with this Royals side. You know, they had a penalty back at the scrum, and now they have this penalty. So he's probably saying that Queens needs to tighten up a bit, or it's going to be a card coming.
So having that discussion with Rowan Shaver, one of the captains, as well as Caden Boyette. So now trying to keep them out right outside that try line. Moved by Wilson. Great defense here for Queens. And a whistle in favor of the Royals.
Just like you said, great defense. That goal line defense is crucial when stuff like this happens. They had a penalty on the 5-meter. Seems like they even had a trick play to pack their forwards in one section to try and power over that gain line. But they forced a knock-on, which is exactly what you need to do in a situation like this.
And coming out right now, Seth Valance heading to the bench for the Queens Royals. Coming in, Jacob Ero. He's wearing the number 16 white jersey for Queens. And there was a player banged up for the Bonnies. Number 18, Brennan, will walk off the field with the trainer.
And just like I was, oh, excuse me. just as I was saying that the goal line defense can be really tricky, on the attacking side of it, they're right in their try zone, so they're under a lot of pressure here. They got to get the ball out as fast as they can, probably kick it up the field and get some space, but it can be a really difficult task at hand.
Once again, scrum gets broken up and need another reset, which we've seen, like EC said, every single time.
Yeah, and I think he might give this newer front row an extra chance, not like he did down on the other side of the field, because he's coming in. He hasn't. It really takes time to kind of get a feel of how the other teams work together and how they need to engage. But he probably needs to clean it up really fast.
And
whoa!
Once again, another whistle. This one going against the Bonnies.
Yeah. So something must be going on down there where the referee is not happy. And, you know, some referees, they have stricter rules than others, so it can be kind of hard to gauge for each team. You kind of have to play to the referee because everyone's different. But Queens did come away with it, and now they're going to get a line out. So it's big for them to get out of that 22 so they can get down on the other side of the field.
The left side for the Bonnies looked like it got slightly disconnected. But the Royals will take whatever whistle it was because they get some breathing room outside their try line.
Yeah.
Now a line out in the hands of Josh Schwartz. Him and Jacob Ero, 2 substitutions in the second half. Here's that maul, but St. Bonnie's trying not to engage. They finally do.
Yeah, so there we had one player that was engaged, and the rest of the team was trying to say, we didn't want to engage, we didn't touch them, but it only takes one player, and that's what they did, and they drove down the field, now in the center of the pitch.
Just shows how pivotal that communication is.
Absolutely.
Everyone has to be on the same page for that to work, to have that heads-up play they had earlier today. So a scrum coming for the Bonnies. Wilson will place.
Got a lot of Queens players with their hands on their knees. We'll see if their fitness can last to keep them in the lead. But St. Bonnie's has a chance here.
That was the main problem in that Navy game.
Right.
Being able to go the full length of the match.
Yeah. And these center scrums, they can be really tricky because you can stack your backs however you like, run a lot of different trick plays here. You can use your 8-man, you can use your flankers. So from a defending perspective, it can be a tricky one.
One for one on the scrum there. Big hit going through a player. Harold lowers the shoulders. Bonnie's still moving forward. Over an hour gone in this game. 22-13, Royals on top of St. Bonaventure's. Kicked up, in pursuit, Nelson doesn't get to it. A whistle from the official way behind the play, and the ball will come back.
Yeah, he's gonna call that player offside, so I believe it's gonna be Queen's ball. When an attacker kicks the ball, you have to be behind them before they kick it, and then you can run past them. And now he's moved them up even further because we had a bit of back chat. A referee in rugby is in great control of the game. They do a really good job of being in control. They don't take anything from other players. And he just proved that right there, giving Queens extra 10 meters.
So the Royals will get the extra 10 meters. These two teams will go and take a quick break, get some water. The heat came back in play for a moment there, and now getting some cloud coverage once again, but you see the first half was very close. It was 13-12 after the first 40 minutes. What have you liked so far from either side? We'll start with Queens so far in the second half, them having the 10-0 run in the second frame.
I feel like they really came in and executed what they want to execute. They've shown really great structure. They've shown really great team chemistry. Every try seems to be a team try. It's not, other than a few gaps in the defensive line that they found, everything's been really well connected. So I do applaud them for that.
And the Bonnies have been on their heels from the word go here on Dixon Field, but they came roaring back later in that first half, and something we could easily see them do again here.
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job of staying calm and collected. Sometimes rugby, you're battling at war. Things are going to happen that aren't going to go your way, and so you have to stay calm and play your structure. We saw it on the right side of the pitch when they were just picking and going, trying to cross that line. They stayed calm and then got the ball wide, executed the way they needed to, and have responded pretty well to this strong Queens side.
The Royals just need to keep it going. See if they can get a full game's effort and not have the second half just go fully with the Bonnies like it did in Annapolis. And that one wasn't necessarily just one half and the other. A 50-14 loss for Queens to the Naval Academy. They did take down Kentucky 47-13 in their first match of the year.
Yeah. So they've kind of seen both sides of it. They've seen the big wins, the big losses, and now they're probably really ready for this season, and we're seeing that today. St. Bonnie's, on the other hand, have seen those two big wins. So maybe coming in just a little bit less prepared than they expected. But I think they've responded really well, and they are a good side, very strong, very fast. They just got to execute what they need to do to put points on the board.
Overall, a very good rugby match as a whole, very competitive. Both teams executing well. Like you said, there is a calm collectedness to St. Bonaventure's.
Yeah.
Both these teams playing tough schedules. Seeing a lot of the top teams in the country, especially with how deep they've gone in the national tournament, with Queens falling to Brown in the final and St. Bonaventure's falling in the semifinals. Queens will actually take on one of the teams they took down in their march to the final, Wheeling University, in their next match. They'll have a solid break. Next match, October 3rd against Wheeling in West Virginia. A big move on the maul. Queens with a lot of space, getting towards the 22. Trying to go out of a ruck, but the official will separate.
We saw St. Bonnie's there trying to not engage with that maul again. It looks like Queens just caught one player, and you saw them, they barreled down the field. I mean, mauls, it's very rare we see big mauls like that. They're usually used in small meters to just gain the forward pack in there and just gain a few meters as you can. But they did a fantastic job. I mean, they were almost at the halfway mark, and now they're at the 22.
And that's the one thing, if you don't engage them all, but one player does, it can hurt you.
Yeah, and it's a very tricky game when you choose to not engage. You have to execute it perfectly. So any mistake that they make is going to go against them, because then they're not ready to go against the competing maul.
Queens moved backwards for a moment. Schwartz now powering forward. Going to the outside, intercepted Bonnie's off to the races, closing in. Starnes takes him down and might have just saved a try for the Royals. A huge run from Takandilsa. Bonnie's nearing the try zone. Taula gets pushed a couple meters. Getting brought down, Cunningham just ahead of the line. Last time the Bonnies were here, Queens stood tall. They still are. Another big push. Not quite there. Bonnies going back to go forward, pushing it to the outside. Starnes, big stop, he gets over, and the Bonnies get the try.
That was a good effort by Everett Boyd there. He had the try-saving tackle, but you get one move as an attacking player, and his one move was to reach for that try zone, and he did a great job of executing there. I was going to mention Queens looked like they were playing a little bit slower on their attacking structure. They were trying to take it slow, set something up, and that's where the mistake came. They were maybe going a little too slow. So a great read by the St. Bonnie's player that got them all the way down in their 22, and a great execution.
And you're right, that's Everett Boyd, 21, who made the huge stop. Starnes in number 11 for the Queens Royals. And Edwards back again to handle the kicking duties. This one for a conversion, trying to make it a 2-point game. Goes up, right off the post, and out.
That is huge. Now we have a game that's 22-18. If St. Bonnie's comes back with a penalty kick and gets 3, it wouldn't be enough to win. If he had made the kick, it would have been enough to tie it, I believe. Or no, excuse me, put them ahead. But because he missed it, they have to score if they want to be ahead. They have to score the try, get 5 points.
So 22-18 now, 4 points between the two. And like EC just said, that conversion could be a huge miss as we approach the 70th minute. Just over 69 minutes gone here in Charlotte-Dixon Field, home of the Queens Royals.
Yeah, and this is when rugby games really matter the most. There's 10 minutes left. It's a 4-point game. Who has been working hard enough? Who wants to execute? This is where it all comes down. This is a really exciting game now. And that's big. That ball went straight out, so now they have the decision to take a penalty at the halfway, which will be a scrum, or they can do a reset. Looks like they're going to go for the scrum.
So the scrum goes to the middle of the field. Wilson with it for the Bonnies. Scrum blown dead.
I'm surprised the referee didn't give that one to Queens because Queens was the main driver in that scrum. He's a big believer on second chances, this referee, with this forward pack.
Been a lot of retries on these scrums, a majority of them. As getting to the later half of this game, And it's possibly ticking away. Fallope had the try to make it 22-18, goes out of his hands, and that could have been a big one. He's patting his chest, letting his teammates know it's on him, on him.
Yeah, those middle scrums, those can be lethal. And they had an extra player. Queen's defense was outnumbered, and all they had to do was get it to that wing player, and he might have been in the try zone. And sometimes that happens, you know, just fumble. And now it'll be Queen's ball, but I know he's beating himself up over that one.
So from the middle now to the near side. And a whistle, this one going against the Bonnies.
Yeah.
Queen's ball.
Queens is looking like the stronger forward pack right now in those scrums. They pushed that scrum over 5 meters, kept the ball in. You saw that ball on the back foot of the 8. The scrum half did not take it out because he knew, he had faith in his forward pack that they were going to keep pushing, resulting in the penalty, which will now be a line out as they kick it down the field.
So Queens in threatening territory. Line out just in front of the 22. Josh Schwartz will come to take it. Royals leading by 4. St. Bonaventures would need a late try to win it. Gets handed off. Detression brought down. Now Royals pushing it to the other side. A big pass as getting hit there, Everett Boyd. Bonnies blow it up. Now they have possession, working out of the ruck.
Looks like it's going to be St. Bonnie's ball. We'll see what they can do here with these forward packs. Queens looked really strong in the other ones, but they have a bit of momentum coming in right now. So maybe they can have a big push, retain that ball.
Looks like the official
taking some time off.
Just talking with St. Bonaventure players, as now everyone will get some water, him included.
Yeah, sometimes referees just need to talk to both teams, both captains, tell them what he wants to see, what he is not seeing that is correct, kind of giving both teams an extra chance to do the right thing and perform the right way. So we saw both teams split there. That's probably what was going on.
I guess you don't know how to adjust to what the official wants unless he has that open communication.
And rugby referees are always communicating with those captains, doing a good job of saying what they want to see and how they referee the game. And you also have conversations before the game where they meet with each team to explain these things so the game can run smoothly.
Sent up high. Fallope bobbles, drops it. Pushing back, Jack Rice, he's brought down. Passed outside, intercepted. Fallope, all the space in the world, puts it down for a try, and St. Bonaventures takes a late lead over Queens.
And that's the same exact play we saw earlier in this game. That's huge. Great read on defense. Those skip balls can be really, really tricky. You have to execute them perfectly and at the exact time. And it's easy for a defender like that is defending so well like that to read it and just intercept it. And you saw he's got speed. Everett Boyd cutting across the field trying to get him, just couldn't do it as he was on the other side. So great defensive read by the St. Bonnie's player, the number 23.
That is his second try, as he has been a great help coming in as a reserve to put the Bonnies on top. Edwards will look to add 2 on, which would put the Bonnies up by 3. This one straight up and through. So we have a 3-point game, which means the Royals, as time runs out, they would need either a 3-point kick off a penalty or a try.
Yeah, and this is when it really matters the most now. We set it at the 10-minute mark, and now there's 4 minutes left. We'll see what they can do if they can retain this ball. They've started both the halves extremely strong, and we almost thought they were going to be the winner from the look of it, but St. Bonnie's has done a fantastic job of staying in the fight every step of the way, and now they've pulled ahead when it matters most.
Miscommunication. Boyd grabs it inside the 22 for Queens.
That is absolutely huge. With the quick tap.
Olivier brought down, only a couple meters away. The front pack has been strong for Queens. Can they power a couple more meters? No call made. Getting through, the Royals answer back with a try of their own. They're on top.
What an absolute game. Everett Boyd, he was the one that tried to make the stop on defense. He couldn't do it. He puts everything into it, makes the sprint down the field to force the pressure on the player that just scored. So this really is a mental game at this point. Catching a high ball, that's all mental. We know all these boys can catch that ball, but it's the pressure of the game. And we saw a little bit of a slip up. He comes away with it, and forwards get in there and they get it done.
And we've talked about communication a lot too. That was a high ball. Phillope was looking it down. His player right to his right also was looking it down. They both think they're going to catch it. And then, like you said, Boyd, who wasn't there to make this, who was not there in the end to make the stop on Phillope's first, poetic justice, he has an opportunity to right the wrong.
Yeah, and just to see where that kickoff landed. I mean, they're in the middle of their 22. To start at the halfway and sprint down and make that chase is just an absolute amazing play from him.
Goes up and good. Adds 2 on. So back to a 4-point lead for the Royals, and it's the Bonnies on their heels again.
And they have about a minute and a half if the clock that we have is right. Sometimes the referee can have a different time, but we haven't seen much stoppage, so we're assuming there's under 2 minutes in this game. They can still come away with a try. So both teams have to stay very focused. This is really when it gets down to the important stuff.
So 78:40 on the clock. It goes to 80, but the official has the official time on the field.
Yeah.
Actually in the first half, the clock was
a
little early,
right,
which is rare to see. But it goes off of his whistle, not necessarily the clock you're seeing right now on your screen.
Yeah.
Here's Queens. Getting to the outside. Boyd. Can he beat one? Moves it. Bobbled. It's on the ground. Jack Rice picks it up, but it's called. So Bonnies have the ball.
And this is a really big play now for St. Bonnie's. I think Queens there was just trying to keep retention of the ball. They did a fantastic job having a mini line out in the middle of the field so they can catch the ball on receipt, getting it out to the backs. Maybe a little bit early of a pass to Everett Boyd because you still want to draw on those defenders to make sure you don't have to be in a one-on-one situation like that. And then we have a fumble there, and now St. Bonnie's has the ball.
So a St. Bonnie's scrum late in this one. We're nearing the 80-minute mark on the clock, which means the end of the match is near. 4 points between the two. Queens trying to get their second win. The Bonnies trying to be 3-0. They will need a late try to come out on top here on the road. There's some space. Ronshaver makes the tackle. Fallope gets it on the outside, doesn't have much space. Schwartz drives, and a whistle from the official.
Referee says the Queens player is offside. We're seeing a little bit of disconnect here in the defensive side of Queens. You have to come up as a team so gaps don't happen, but that player just wanted to get up in their face, shoot the gap. He was called offsides, which is resulting in a St. Bonnie's penalty, and now they have a line out in their own 22, in Queens' 22, excuse me.
A huge stand right here for the Queens Royals.
And this can be difficult to defend as a forward pack. You have to be thinking of a lot of things. Are they going to maul? Are they going to pass the ball long? Are they going to go short? So you just have to be extremely aware. And you see they mauled there, and they actually sacked it. So you can take that player who comes down with the ball and get him to the ground, basically stopping the maul. So it's good defensive pressure from them.
Bonnies inside the 22. Time winding down. We're waiting on the final whistle of the official. A try would win it for the Bonnies, at least likely with how late we are in this match. Gaining valuable meters right outside the try line now. Pushing back are the Royals. Another try. Going to the left this time. Schwartz with a big grab and stop. Queens standing tall. Going to the backs. On the right side, slipping through and getting a touch. A try for St. Bonaventure's late in this one. They take the lead up by 1.
And that's a hard spot to be in for Queens. Your goal line defense, you want to be involved in everything, that the pick and goes, but you have to be aware of those back balls, and they just shift it wide immediately to the open player and who got it down. Referee's checking his clock to see if that's game. Not sure if it will be or if they'll have another minute to play.
Waiting for the official, see if Queens will have a chance to retaliate in any way. They will have a conversion kick. It'll be Edwards once again. As his is up and good. Makes it 32-29. And St. Bonaventure's with a late score to put them up ahead as the official calls game. And a heartbreaker for the Queens Royals, but resilience
really
for the Bonnies.
Yeah, I mean, that is heartbreaking to lose that game. Whichever side came out with the win, they both played extremely well. It was a fantastic match. Both probably learned a lot, but St. Bonnie's did come away with it.
So St. Bonaventure's, they were on their heels from the moment they stepped on Dixon Field, but they come up with the win and stay perfect, 3-0, trying to get a national championship here in 2025. The Royals are trying to avenge a loss in the national championship game last year. They fall 32-29 to St. Bonaventure's. We appreciate you tuning in. For Emma Claire Cantrell, I'm Nick Kloss saying so long from Charlotte, North Carolina. St. Bonaventure's winning 32-29 over the Queens Royals. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.